There is a strange kind of crisis that no one talks about. It's not when your life falls apart. It's when your life still works, but it no longer feels like yours. The goals are still there, the version of you everyone recognizes is still walking around making plans, but inside something has quietly moved. The things that used to motivate you don't hit the same anymore. And the life you were building starts to feel like it was designed by someone else. It's not necessarily that you are falling apart, you're just updating. Maybe you built your life around survival values, approval, achievement, control, proving yourself, and maybe those values worked for a while. But now something quieter is asking for your attention. Peace, honesty, freedom, a life that actually fits. Here are 7 signs that your values have shifted and why it's not a crisis at all. Sign number 1. The things that used to embarrass you no longer do, and vice versa. One of the clearest signs your values have shifted is that your shame changes location. Things you once tried to hide, you may now quietly own. Ambition, sensitivity, and conventional opinions, wanting a simpler life, needing more time alone. And things you once performed proudly may now feel uncomfortable. Status, busyness, always being available, being the productive one, the reasonable one, the one who never needs anything. You used to wear those things like badges. Now you don't like them so much anymore. And this matters because shame is a values detector. If you are ashamed of resting, you may value productivity too religiously. If you are ashamed of being ordinary, you may value status more than peace. If you are ashamed of needing people, you may value independence in a way that is secretly just fear. So when your embarrassment shifts, pay attention. What once felt humiliating may now feel honest. What once felt impressive may now feel empty. That's not confusion, it's just information. Sign number 2. Old goals feel hollow. Not because you failed, but because you succeeded. You got the thing, the job, the recognition, the lifestyle, the approval, and instead of feeling complete, you felt flat. Not devastated, not necessarily depressed, just untouched by the thing that's supposed to change everything. That can be confusing because we expect failure to make us question our goals, but sometimes success does it more clearly. That doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means the goal belonged to a previous version of you. It was solving an old need, proving yourself, being accepted, feeling safe, escaping insecurity. And maybe that goal wasn't wrong. Maybe it was exactly what you needed at the time. But now that need is no longer running the whole show. You may still respect the goal, you just no longer feel that you need it. And sometimes losing motivation is not laziness, sometimes it's your psyche quietly saying, we already learned what we needed to learn here. Sign number 3. Certain relationships quietly drain you now. Not because the other person changed, they didn't. Same jokes, same complaints, same emotional weather. And that's precisely the problem because you changed. Maybe the relationship was built around complaining together, performing together, partying together, pleasing each other, or staying small together. And now you need something different. Honesty, calm, depth, growth, freedom. And now, after spending time with certain people, you don't feel nourished, you feel slightly tired. That doesn't mean they're toxic, it doesn't mean you are superior. Sometimes a relationship simply belongs to a value system you no longer live inside. Some relationships don't explode, they expire quietly. Not with hatred, with mismatch. Sign number 4. You keep breaking your own rules. On the surface, this looks like a discipline problem. You said this is the plan, this is what matters, and you keep not doing it. So, your interpretation of this is self-attack. Lazy, weak, no discipline. Sometimes yes, maybe you need better systems or sleep or to stop making life decisions at 1 a.m. But oftentimes repeated failure against your own rules is information. You say you value prestige, but you keep choosing peace. You say you value maximum growth, but you keep craving stability. Before calling it self-sabotage, ask, what if my mind is voting with its feet? Of course, not every broken promise is secret wisdom. Sometimes you're just procrastinating because your brain wants dopamine. But when the same patterns repeat around goals that used to matter, it may be worth asking, does this plan still belong to me? Or am I trying to stay loyal to a version of myself who made this plan under different fears, different needs, and different information? Sign number 5. Peace starts to matter more than excitement. When you are younger or insecure or addicted to proving yourself, excitement can feel like the highest form of life. If it's intense, it must be meaningful. Then something changes. A quiet evening starts looking attractive, a clear conscience, a calm relationship, a body that doesn't feel like it's falling apart. Part of you may judge this. Am I becoming boring? Maybe. But maybe peace is not decline. Maybe peace is what you start valuing when you stop confusing chaos with importance. For a long time you may have measured aliveness by intensity. The more dramatic, the more real. But eventually you realize that not everything meaningful has to raise your heart rate. Choosing peace doesn't mean you stopped caring. It may mean you finally care about the person who has to live inside your life. Sign number 6. You stop envying people you used to envy. This is a very clean signal. You look at someone living the life you once wanted, and instead of jealousy, you feel relief. Like, good for them, but I don't think I want the cost of that anymore. Because most lives come with hidden invoices. The pressure, the maintenance, the performance schedule, the kind of person you have to become and stay to keep that life running. When you were younger, you only saw the reward, the outcome without its context. Now you see the full picture, not just what someone has, but what they are doing to have it. Envy collapses when you finally do the math. And this is different from cynicism. You're not telling yourself the thing is worthless so you feel better about not having it. You genuinely no longer want to pay what it costs. That's not sour grapes, that's accurate accounting. Envy often points to a hidden desire, but the disappearance of envy can point to a value you've quietly outgrown. Sign number 7. You are more willing to disappoint people. And this may be the most important sign. Early values are often borrowed from parents, from culture, from your social group, from insecurity, from the version of you that needed approval to feel safe. But when your own values become clearer, you develop a higher tolerance for other people's disappointment. Not because you become cold, but because you stop treating disapproval as an emergency. Less people-pleasing isn't always selfishness. Sometimes it's you finally coming home to yourself. Your values are becoming yours, and when this happens, some people will say, "You've changed." Yes, that was the point. Okay, so why all this is okay? Shifting values don't mean you're lost. They mean you're finally responding accurately to the life you've actually lived. Values track experience, success, failure, loss, burnout, the moment you got what you wanted and realized it didn't fix you, the moment you lost something and realized what actually mattered. And defending outdated values can become its own kind of suffering. We call it consistency, but it's just loyalty to a past self who was doing their best with incomplete information. Integrity doesn't mean staying loyal to values you no longer believe in. It means your outer life becoming more aligned with what you actually know to be true now. You're not losing yourself, you're losing the version of yourself that was built around needing something you no longer need.